Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. I hope you guys like my videos. This is a story of what if Naruto becomes the Black Death of Konoha. Naruto changes in the Wave arc. It all starts from the bridge that Tazuna built. Before we start, be sure to check the description for the creator of this great fanfic, and don't forget to subscribe and leave a like and give review of this video. So let's start. Chapter 31. 1 week later, Naruto had slipped into Rin's house again and pushed chakra into the seal on the floor and encloaked the room in a dark hue. "It is time to go, Rin," Naruto told her. He saw that she was dressed in dark clothing and had her backpack on her back. "I am going to seal you into a scroll so I can carry you out," Naruto told her as he placed a scroll in front of her. "I will unseal you in a few hours. I should be a ways out of Iwa before they figure out that we are gone," Naruto added as he pushed chakra into the seal. "What will it feel like?" Rin asked a bit nervously as the smoke started to swirl around her legs. "Kinda like a dream, but you won't get any rest," Naruto told her as she vanished and the kanji for human appeared on the scroll. Naruto rolled the scroll up and placed it into his cloak pocket and transformed into his fox form. He slipped out the hole in the wall and made his way to the main gates to see it being guarded heavily. "This will be harder than I thought," Naruto thought as he started to walk towards the gate. Naruto saw a shadow encompass him. "Going hunting?" one of the guards asked as Naruto tilted his head to the side in mock confusion. "Well, don't be out too late, your master will worry," he added as Naruto slipped by. Wow, in Konoha they would be more suspicious if an Inuzuka dog walked out of the village unattended, he thought as he started to run away. Once out of the view of the main gate, Naruto made himself grow in size. Naruto was now barreling towards the ocean shoreline when his Kitsune-enhanced abilities warned him that Iwa had found out that Rin was missing. "Hey, they are so stupid," Naruto thought as he lowered his head and increased his speed. Naruto's keen eyes were darting around as he looked for marks of his teammates. "I shouldn't have waited so long, I could have smelt where they were," he thought again. Naruto was shocked when he flew off of a cliff and blinked a few times before he started to plummet towards the waters below him. Naruto flung his tail out behind him and latched onto a branch as he fell. Naruto slammed into the cliff wall and pushed chakra into his paws and stopped his descent. That could have ended badly, he thought as he looked at the jagged rocks at the bottom of the fall. Naruto could smell the faint smell of his team in the air. He turned and saw that towards the bottom of the cliff there was an anomaly where the waves went through the cliff wall. Naruto started to trudge down the cliff wall. He could smell his team more strongly now. He was about to walk into the cave when a massive wave hit him. Naruto scowled a bit as the water soaked him. He slipped into the cave to see they were up. "I see that you are here, Naruto," Jiraiya said as he looked at the soaked blonde furball. "It is good that you are in perfect order," he joked as Naruto glared at them for laughing. Naruto suddenly formed a toothy grin as Gaara threw up a sand shield and Kurenai hid behind Gaara as Naruto shook himself dry. Jiraiya and Kakashi were soaked. "Yeah, I am fine," Naruto commented as he started to transform back and stood up tall. "Well, you two look fine," Naruto said with a smile as Jiraiya and Kakashi glared at him while Kurenai laughed at the two soaked men. Naruto cracked his neck before pulling a scroll out and placed it onto the ground and pushed chakra into it. Suddenly a cyclone of smoke appeared and was soon blown away to show the beautiful brunette known as Rin. Kakashi openly gaped at her. "Are Rin-chan," Kakashi stuttered. "Oh, don't, Rin-chan, me Kakashi Hatake," Rin said angrily as she glared at him. Jiraiya let out a bark of laughter and she turned to him. "Oh, you don't have a right to laugh, Mr. Godfather," she added as she glared as the now two sweating men. "Oh, when this mission is over, Kakashi, you and I will have a little talk," Rin told him before she turned to Jiraiya. "And you," she trailed off menacingly. "I will be telling Tsunade about the time I caught you peeping on her," she told him as the two men finally fell to the ground and were in the fetal position. Rin turned to the remaining team and smiled happily at them. "So what is there to eat?" she asked as they just stared at her. "Ah, fish," Kurenai said. "Are all women in Konoha that scary?" Gaara asked Shikamaru and Naruto. "Pretty much," the two said. Several hours later, "So we will skirt the shoreline for a while until we find something suspicious?" Rin asked as Naruto nodded. "Seems like a long shot," she told him. "Well, if it is nothing then you guys get paid for being on vacation," Naruto said with a smile. "He does have a point there," Kakashi pointed out. "No talking, Kakashi," Rin told him. He was about to go back to reading his book when Rin snatched it out of his hands and threw it into the fire. Ops, my hand slipped. She lied as Kakashi looked at the burning book like it was a sin to nature. He had tears running down his cheeks with Jiraiya being similar next to him. Damn perverts. She grumbled. Ha. Naruto said as Kakashi and Jiraiya glared at him. Shut up, Naruto. Kakashi said with anime tears running down his cheeks. It is just a book. Naruto said while shaking his head. It isn't Kami reincarnate. Naruto said jokingly. Anyways, we should rest up a little while before continuing. I used up a lot of chakra from being in fox form for so long. He added with a yawn. I carved out cubbies in the back of the cave. Gaara told him. I also ground the rocks down to make an adequate bedding. He explained. Thanks Gaara, you are a good friend. Naruto said as he went towards the back to see several cubbies carved into the wall, and he picked the closest one and crawled into it and was soon asleep. Several more hours later, Naruto woke up to the sounds of several people snoring. He shimmied back out of the cubby to see most of them were filled. He went to the main part of the cave and saw that Jiraiya was watching the entrance. Morning, Naruto. Jiraiya said without turning. Morning. He replied. How long have I been out? Almost 10 hours. Jiraiya told him. We caught fish over the week that we were separated and smoked it. If you are hungry, you are free to get some. He added as Naruto took some of the fish and started to eat it. This is so much better than the raw meat I was forced to eat while in Iowa. He commented. You can eat raw meat? Jiraiya asked as Naruto nodded. But only in my fox form. Naruto added as he bit another piece of fish off the slab of meat. So we will move out when everyone has woken and eaten. Naruto asked as Jiraiya nodded solemnly. What is wrong? I knew Orochimaru is evil, but this is just wrong of him. Jiraiya said. I never thought he would take people and make them into those things. He growled. I know how it feels. Naruto agreed. I never thought that Sasuke would go crazy like he did. And look where that got me. Naruto added as he rubbed his chest. I guess we were doomed from the start, huh, Naruto? Jiraiya said with a sad chuckle. Yeah, you're right. Naruto agreed with the same type of chuckle. But I will make Sasuke pay. He said with a low growl before smiling. But I am sure I left a lasting impression on him. Naruto added before he went to tell Jiraiya about his encounter with Sasuke. Damn Naruto, that must have been a brutal fight. Jiraiya told him as he nodded while Rin and Kurenai walked down into the main room with Gaara trailing behind them. Do I have to worry about Panda-kun staring at my ass? Rin asked. Nah, he is as innocent as a baby. Kurenai said. Why would I stare at your ass? Gaara asked confused as Naruto slammed his palm against his head. Wow, they really didn't teach you anything. Naruto said with a smirk. They just taught me to kill. Gaara told him, making him sigh when Kakashi lazily walked in. So that leaves Shikamaru before we leave. Naruto said. But knowing him, he wouldn't get up till noon. Naruto joked as they all chuckled. Wait here. Naruto said as he got up and walked towards the beds and they looked curiously before they heard a disgruntled scream, and soon they saw Naruto come back dragging Shikamaru. I hate you, Naruto. Shikamaru grunted as they sat around the small fire. So which way will we go? Naruto asked as they started to eat. I have had one of my tracker toads go that way. Jiraiya told him while pointing to the wall. So far he hasn't reported anything. He added. So we will go the opposite way. Naruto said. Do we even know what we are looking for? Kurenai asked. Something out of the ordinary. He told her as he stood up. We will hug the cliff wall and don't make too much noise. Naruto said as they nodded. 10 hours later they had been moving non-stop and they came to a bend on the cliff, and Naruto looked around the bend and saw a large structure built into the cliff wall. He saw several boats in front of the big metal door. I think we have found it. Naruto told them quietly before ducking behind the bend again. Jiraiya, do you know any Earth-style ninjutsu to make us a cave or something for rooms? Naruto asked. Yeah. Jiraiya said as he went through a few hand signs and slammed his fist against the wall, and it soon started to crumble away. They walked into the cavern to see that it was 20 feet long and roughly 10 feet wide. How is this? Jiraiya asked. Good. Naruto said. Gaara, can you work on making another room that will be used as a bathroom and make those cubbies again? He asked as Gaara nodded and went and started to grind the stones into the required things. What will we do now? Shikamaru asked. Recon tomorrow. Naruto told them. Since Gaara and I are the most powerful out of our group, we will check those boats while you guys search around the building. Naruto said. I think I should go with you, Naruto. Jiraiya said. No, you are pretty strong too, so you should go with the others. Having all three of us in one group would decrease our overall strength. Naruto said. Shikamaru, you will stay here. Kakashi and Rin will be in one group while Kurenai and Jiraiya are in the other. Naruto explained. And Shikamaru no sleeping. Troublesome. He muttered. If he is asleep when you get back, just kick him in the ass. Naruto told everyone. Since I have the most energy, I will dive to catch fish. He said as he unsheathed his katana. He moved to the mouth of the man-made cave and looked out before diving into the waters. Soon Naruto came back with a massive fish. Everyone's mouth dropped open at the sight of it. Stupid fish came to me. Naruto commented. Naruto, that isn't a normal fish. Kakashi said. That is a great white shark. If it was coming at you, then it wanted to eat you. Kakashi explained to Naruto. If you look in its mouth, you will see teeth. He added, and Naruto pulled his katana out of the shark's gills and forced its mouth open. Hey, what do you know? Naruto said as he looked into the mouth. He reached in and pulled out one of the teeth. It was roughly the size of his palm. He pocketed it quickly. So how should I cut this up? Naruto asked as he brandished his katana. Cut them up into slabs. Jiraiya told him as Naruto's arm instantly became a blur of movement and he soon sheathed the katana and the shark fell to pieces. That should be enough for a while. Naruto said. Kakashi, Rin and I will use an invisibility jutsu and go get wood for us. Kurenai said as the three did a few hand signs and vanished. Be back in an hour. She told them. There was something wrong when I went diving. Naruto told them seriously. What is it, Naruto? Jiraiya asked. I saw levels underwater but absolutely no fish or living thing was near that place. Naruto told them. That is odd. Jiraiya commented. Don't go down there. Naruto told him. It could be toxic or something. With the Kyuubi I am able to handle a lot of toxicants without much affect. Gaara and I will look at it because we are Jinchurikis and our immune system is high, so we can fight off mostly anything. Are you sure? Jiraiya asked as Naruto nodded. Then we won't tell the others that there are lower levels yet. He added as Naruto and Gaara nodded. The next day, I don't like water. Gaara mumbled as he looked at the water. Now you tell us. Naruto grumbled as he dived into the water and soon surfaced. Just jump in, Gaara. Naruto said, a bit irritated. But, I don't like water. Gaara said again as Naruto's annoyance level peaks and he swam to the edge and pulled Gaara in by his legs. There, now you are in the water, so it doesn't matter anymore. Naruto told him as he glared at Naruto. Naruto just shrugged the glare off and started to slowly swim towards the boats. Naruto made a quickly pointed to the other boat and Gaara nodded and moved to the boat. He pulled himself up onto the boat deck and pulled his katana out. He slowly made his way around the deck and found no one, so he went down the stairs and what he saw shocked him. He saw claw marks and deep gouges on the walls and floor. What the hell is this? Naruto thought as he walked into one of the cells and looked at the chains and the claw marks. It looks like they were holding beasts in here. He thought again when he heard a bird call and quickly went to the roof to see Gaara on the deck waving him over. Naruto quickly leapt onto the water and onto the other boat. What is it? Naruto whispered as Gaara pointed to the floor and Naruto saw a red-headed girl. You have got to be kidding me. Naruto growled. I found her in the hold. It looked like she was hiding and when she saw me she looked ready to scream, so I knocked her out. Gaara told him. We have to take her with us. He added as Naruto sighed. Fine, but you have to take care of her. Naruto said harshly before turning back to the waters. We should get going before the owners find us. Naruto said as he nodded and the two jumped into the water. Gaara was holding the girl as they moved. This isn't good, he thought as he glanced at the girl. It took the two longer to get to the cave. They pulled themselves into the cave and saw the rest waiting for them. So what did you guys figure out? Naruto asked as he pulled himself out of the water and soon pulled Gaara out with the girl. Who is she? Jiraiya asked. Gaara found her on the boat. Naruto said flatly. Rin, can you check her over to make sure she is in perfect health? Sure, Naruto. Rin said as she walked to the girl. The ship, I investigated, it was weird. Naruto told them. They had cells similar to shinobi ones, they had chains and when I touched them Kyuubi's chakra was sapped away. Naruto added, shocking them. The only thing I could think of is that they are used for holding something with tainted chakra, or non-human chakra. Naruto said. What about your ship? Naruto asked Gaara. Just a lot of bunks as if they were used to transport people. Gaara said as they heard a groan and turned to the girl who was now hunched in the corner looking in terror at the group. Who are you guys? The girl stuttered. We cannot tell you that. Kurenai told her gently as she walked over to the scared girl. Don't worry, we won't hurt you. Naruto, give me some food. She ordered as he nodded and threw her a slab of smoked shark meat in a bottle of water. Here, you can have this. She told the girl as she handed the meat and water over and she started to eat it greedily. So what is your name? Matsuri. She stuttered between bites of food. Well, it is nice to meet you, Matsuri. Sorry to tell you this, but we cannot let you leave this cave until we are finished here. Kurenai told her. But we have plenty of food for you to stay with us. She added as the girl nodded and continued to eat. If she keeps eating like that, she will get sick. Naruto said before the girl threw up. She's your problem. Naruto told Gaara. Chapter 32. 1 week later, Naruto was watching the entrance while the others were out patrolling and looking for a way in. Naruto and Gaara had explored the lower levels for a distance but didn't find much the first few levels, so they decided to get out before pushing their lucks. What would you like? Naruto asked without looking up. How did you know I was here? Matsuri asked before sitting next to him. My nose is hypersensitive and I could smell you coming towards me. Naruto told her. Are you saying I smell bad? Matsuri asked. A little. Naruto told her. Well, sorry that I can't take a bath. She grunted, making Naruto sigh. I would make you a bath, but I am a wind user. Naruto said. Wind user? She asked, confused as Naruto hung his head. Most shinobi can use chakra willingly. Naruto said. Ya, Gaara-kun explained that to me. She told him. Okay, that makes this a bit easier. Naruto said. A shinobi has an elemental affinity, either wind, fire, water, earth or lightning. There are sub-elements, but I will explain those soon. My main affinity is wind, meaning I can easily manipulate the wind rather than moving the earth or ocean. Naruto explained. So what are sabellaments? She asked. Sabellaments are when you mix two or more of the main elements together. Naruto told her. Like water and earth can create either mud style or wood styles. Earth and lighting you can create magnetism. Wind and water you can make ice. There is really an infinite amount of elements you can create. Naruto told her. Wow, you guys must be really powerful. She said. I am not powerful. Naruto told her. Just cursed a little while after I was born. What do you mean? Matsuri asked but saw him flinch back into his cloak a little. You don't have to tell me. Don't worry about it. Naruto told her. Shortly after I was born, the Kyubi no Kitsune attacked the village I lived at. The most powerful person in our village, the Yondaime Hokage, used a forbidden Uzumaki clan seal called the Shikifujin. At the sacrifice of his soul, he sealed Kyubi's soul and chakra into me. He said, shocking her. I heard Jinchurikis were evil, but you are, well, not. Matsuri said. The tailed beasts aren't demons as everyone makes them out to me. Naruto told her. They are just mass amounts of chakra that took forms of different animals and took the leadership of their respective summoned species. It was the bad ones of the bunch that gave them their bad names. For example, the Shukaku and Sanbi were well evil. Wow, Matsuri whispered. So do you have a significant other even though you are a Jinchuriki? She asked as Naruto chuckled. Yes, I do. Naruto told her while looking towards the ceiling. You love her, don't you? Matsuri asked. With all my heart. He told her. I wish I had someone to love. Matsuri said. But you do, a certain red-headed gourd-carrying teen. Naruto said as Matsuri flushed brightly. What are you talking about? She stuttered, making Naruto smirk. I know the way you look at him. Naruto told her. My girlfriend acted the same way around me. Well, not quite, you aren't as bad. Naruto added with a smirk. You are shy, blush and watch him when you think no one is looking. Is it that obvious? She asked with a sigh. You have to know that Gaara and I are similar. We weren't shown love until we were older, so it is hard for us to identify love. Naruto warned her. Probably just short of kissing him and he won't know. Naruto told her as she flushed deeply when the others started to come into the cave and saw the blushing Matsuri. Naruto, what did you do to the girl? Kurenai asked. Oh, you know, just talking. Naruto told her with a smile. Anyways, what have you found? There doesn't seem to be any other ways into the building other than that metal gate. Kurenai told him. We have searched almost every inch within a mile. She added. Tonight I will go down the building again, maybe I could find a way in through down there. Naruto told them. The only reason we came back the first time is because Gaara's immune system isn't as high as mine. I should be able to last underwater for a lot longer without anything happening to me. Naruto told them as he stood and stretched. I will be back in a while. Naruto said before diving into the waters. He always goes in head first. Kurenai said with a sigh as Jiraiya and Kakashi nodded. With Naruto was diving deeper into the murky waters. He could see lights gleaming deeper. Just a little lower and I should be able to find out what is down here. Naruto thought as he started to kick harder. He came to the first light and saw an empty room. He quickly moved away as the door in the room opened. He peeked in to see a couple of men throwing dead bodies into the room. What are they doing? He thought as he hugged the wall and tried to hear something. Looks like, batch, was, failure. Naruto heard the muffled voices. What did they mean? Naruto thought before he started to swim deeper and saw a room completely filled with dead bodies. He almost lost his cool and vomit. Should I go deeper? He asked Kyubi. You need to find a way in. Kyubi told him as he grimaced and started to go deeper. The rooms seemed to get more worse as he got deeper. The rooms were beginning to fill with skeletons. Not even demons are this bad. Kyubi told him as he got to a room that was glowing a strange blue and he looked in to see humans in cylindrical glass tubes. The cylinders were glowing a bright blue. This is odd. Naruto thought and Kyubi couldn't agree more as he started to go down a few more levels and found a broken window and a flooded lab. Should I go in? There might be a clue to what they are doing here. She told him as he swam in and saw a dull blue light illuminating the room. Naruto could see something floating in the corner and he started to swim towards it and found that it was a decaying creature. It looks like Sasuke when he went stage 2 curse seal. Naruto thought as he looked around and saw several computers. Maybe those have something about this thing. Naruto thought as he swam towards it and tried to look for some kind of information device. Naruto, your oxygen supply is running out, you should hurry up and get out before we drown. She warned him. Naruto nodded as he made his way towards the creature and grabbed it in one hand and started to go towards the broken window and was soon swimming towards the cave. He noticed that the fish and other aquatic creatures were keeping a long distance from him. Are they scared of this creature? Naruto thought as he kicked harder. Naruto broke the surface near the cliff wall and he looked around, looking for any signs of human life before swimming towards the cave and pulled himself into it before dragging the creature's body into the cave. He heard the gasps from his team. This is what I found at the lowest level. Naruto told them. What is it? Jiraiya asked. It took his entirety of his training to keep from losing his lunch, the others weren't as lucky. Like I know. Naruto said before holding his hand up and leaned out of the cave and released his lunch into the ocean. I am going to try and sleep. Naruto told them as he wiped his mouth. Kid, I will protect you of your nightmares. Kyubi told him as he crawled into one of the cubbies and curled up into a ball. Several hours later Naruto groaned as he woke up. He could hear the others talking. If this is what they are making, then we have to destroy this building. He heard Kurenai say as he crawled back out. He walked into the main cavern to see them seated around the fire. Hey everyone. Naruto said as he sat at the fire. How did you sleep? Kurenai asked. Kyubi kept most of the images out of my dreams. Naruto told them. So what will we do with that building? Naruto asked. We are going to destroy it. Kakashi told him. But none of us know a powerful enough jutsu besides Jiraiya-sama's toad flame bullet, but that is too identifiable. He added as Naruto nodded. Maybe we should infiltrate the building to see if we can make it explode or something. Naruto suggested. Isn't the water toxic or something? Kurenai asked. I don't think it is. Naruto told them. When I was swimming back I noticed that none of the fish weren't even getting close to me. I think they are afraid of the building or what is in the building. Naruto added. Okay, so now what will we do? Kurenai asked. I think that since Jiraiya, Gaara and I have the biggest chakra pools, we will go through the bottom floor, while you three go through the main gate. We should wait for a new ship to come in. Naruto told them. You guys sneak in with the people that come on those ships. Naruto added. 3 ninja are kinda noticeable. Naruto Kakashi said. Well, Kurenai-sensei is the genjutsu mistress of Konoha and I am sure she knows a few invisibility jutsus. Naruto said with a smirk. And not to mention Ero Sennin here has bragged multiple times about how he made the perfect invisibility jutsu that not even a shinobi can detect him. Naruto added as Rin and Kurenai glared at Jiraiya. Although I do have a feeling that he was caught once. Like a distant memory. He added as Jiraiya started to sweat as the memories started to flood his mind. 2 weeks later Jiraiya had been teaching Naruto and Gaara his invisibility jutsu while Kurenai taught Kakashi and Shikamaru a more advanced invisibility jutsu. Naruto looked out the cave entrance to see the ship coming in. Practice is over guys, our chance is here. Naruto said. Gaara, I know your sand gets heavy when wet, but will you be able to carry any down in the water with you? He asked. Shukaku should be able to handle that while I concentrate on the jutsu. Gaara told him. Well, let's get moving. Naruto said as the three dived into the water and started to swim over to the building. They surfaced at the building's wall. It is straight down from here. Naruto whispered as they nodded and took a deep breath before diving down. It wasn't long before they made it to the broken window and they swam in. Naruto went to the ceiling and a lot of bubbles started to appear around his hand before he rammed it into the ceiling and started to cut through it. The chunk of ceiling fell to the floor and Naruto slipped through and used his wind element to keep the water from flooding the room. It wasn't long before Gaara and Jiraiya to get through the hole. How will we close this up? Naruto asked as sand covered the hole and Jiraiya blew a small fireball onto the sand, melting it together into the floor. Well, that solves that. Naruto said as he stood up. Let's activate the jutsu before we are found. Naruto told them as they made a hand sign and they soon vanished. They made their way around the room and saw 3 different doors. These are elevators. Jiraiya whispered. We should split up and so we can cover more ground. He added quietly as they each pushed a button and stepped into the elevator. With Naruto was waiting patiently as he went up. The door soon opened and Naruto snuck out of the elevator and saw that he was in some kind of holding area. He went further in and saw an old short man with a tall blonde woman. Onoki Jiji, what are you doing here? Naruto whispered, surprising the two. Who is there? The old man demanded. It is me, Naruto. Naruto whispered as the old man sighed. Now what are you doing here? That bastard knocked me out when I was going home and then forged the letter that said that I made him my successor and then he locked me up here. Onoki told Naruto. Who is that? Naruto asked. That is Yugito Ni, she is one of Kumo's Jinchuriki, they are using her to control the raikage. Onoki told him. They gave her some kind of drug and she isn't too effective. He added as Naruto peeled the seal off the door and opened it. He walked over to the dazed Yugito and pressed his hand to her forehead and she soon started to convulse before she opened her eyes. What the hell happened? Yugito groaned. The Yondaime Tsuchikage kidnapped you. Naruto said. I can smell a fox but I can't see one. Yugito stated as Naruto released the jutsu and startled his fellow Jinchuriki. Naruto Uzumaki, Kyubi no Kitsune's Jinchuriki. Naruto told her with a smile as she stared at him. You should get out of here. Naruto told them. We are blowing this place up. They are making some weird-ass creatures. Naruto added as they nodded. But my people, knew that you were here yet did nothing. Naruto interrupted him. I am going to take the elevator up a few floors and meet up with my teammates. Naruto told them. It is Jiraiya the Sannin and Gaara of the Sand. Naruto told them. What kind of team is that? 2 Jinchuriki and a Sannin, is it a demolition group? Onoki asked. You bet it is. Naruto said as they went into the elevator. They were soon zooming up the elevator. They made it to the highest level they could and they were met by blood-covered Gaara and Jiraiya. I found us some help. Naruto said with a smirk. Tsuchikage-sama. Jiraiya said with a bow. This just made our job easier. Yeah, but these little kids might be strong but inexperienced. Onoki commented. They might be inexperienced but they are strong. Jiraiya said. You should know Naruto is strong since he is part of the Namikaze and Uzumaki bloodline. He added as Onoki nodded as the alarms started to blare followed by an explosion. Looks like it begins, Onoki-sama. Jiraiya said as a group of sound shinobi ran towards them. They were quickly dispatched by the overpowered group. They all broke into a run as they went. Save the eyes, one of the enemies yelled. They rounded the corner and found the Yondaime Tsuchikage. You. Onoki growled. Onoki Jiji go, he is mine. Naruto told him as he drew his katana at the same time as the Tsuchikage. They suddenly flew at each other and came to a stop when their blades hit. Sparks flew everywhere. I am amazed that blade withstood my first strike. Naruto said as the two parried each other's attacks. I am surprised yours hasn't been sliced to pieces yet. He told Naruto as they continued. My katana is an Uzumaki blade. Naruto said as he parried another hit. And I believe I know why our blades aren't broken yet. Naruto said as he dropped his guard and Kenji took advantage and went to slice him, but nothing happened. That is an Uzumaki blade too, and it can't cut an Uzumaki. He said with a smirk. You cannot kill me with that katana. Naruto said as he started to go on the offensive, pushing the Tsuchikage back with his swift and dangerous attacks. Long gashes were being formed in the walls as they moved around. My katana might not be able to cut you, but when I push my wind chakra into it, he trailed off as Naruto barely dodged a slash that would have sliced his chest open. Naruto felt his shirt slice open and a thin trickle of blood. That was a good attack. Naruto said as he channeled his chakra into katana, and the two were at it again. With Jiraiya, Gaara, Onoki, and Yugito, they were running along when they heard a loud chirping noise and saw a ball of electricity stuck through Amon's chest. The other group ran around the corner and saw Jiraiya's group. Jiraiya-sama. Kakashi said with a bow. Where is Naruto? Fighting the Tsuchikage. Jiraiya said, followed by an explosion. With Naruto and Kenji, the two had somehow made it to the top floor. They had left a pile of bodies in their wake. You are quite good with that sword. Kenji said while panting slightly. Same with you. Naruto panted out before they launched at each other, and Naruto kicked Kenji through the ceiling and onto the roof. Naruto leapt through the hole and promptly blocked a hit. He pushed Kenji back before leaping back himself, and he took his tattered cloak off and threw it away from him, and it collided with the roof and the building shook a little. Ah, that is better. Naruto said as the two launched at each other again and collided. Naruto. They heard a female's voice exclaim before the two pushed apart. Jiraiya-sensei, tell Hinata that I love her. Naruto said. Naruto, what are you going to do? Jiraiya demanded as they watched Naruto tug the Shodai Hokage's necklace off and threw it towards him. I am going to use the True Wind Dragon Jutsu. Naruto told him. Naruto, tell everyone that I love them. Naruto said as he threw his katana towards the group and it stuck into the ground. Naruto, don't. Jiraiya yelled as they watched in horror as Kenji and Naruto flew towards each other. They watched as the katana pierced his chest and coughed up some blood before he grabbed Kenji. Get out of here. Naruto exclaimed through the pain before he started to chant, and a wind started to kick up. Clouds started to roll in and started to swirl above Naruto and Kenji. We have to help him. Kurenai exclaimed as she watched as Kenji attempted to get away. We can't. Jiraiya said as a cylinder of wind slammed down around Naruto and Kenji. It is too late. He added. We have to leave. Jiraiya said as he pulled Kurenai away, and they started to leap away. Once they were several hundred yards away, they heard a roar that reverberated the air around them. What is this jutsu? Kurenai demanded. It is a suicide jutsu when used at full power. Jiraiya told her. It takes a tremendous amount of chakra, and when that cylinder comes down, it traps the user and anyone with the person in it. Nothing can get through that shield. Jiraiya explained as they started to hear the chanting increase in volume, and soon a muzzle of a dragon and the claws burst through the clouds and it roared again. It is the ultimate wind ninjutsu. Jiraiya added. It condenses the wind chakra to the point that it is solid until it hits its target. It can be directed. Kurenai asked hopefully as Jiraiya laughed bitterly. Not a chance in hell, the target is the user. Jiraiya told her as tears started to fall down his cheeks. Summon a toad or something to help him. Kurenai pleaded as another roar was sound as the dragon looked around and locked its eyes on Naruto's position. Didn't you hear me? Nothing can get through that shield. Jiraiya told her. Don't you think I would attempt to save my own godson if I could? He demanded as the tears continued to slide down his cheeks. They watched in fascination and horror as a Chinese dragon started to spiral around the cylinder of air and slam into the building, encasing it in a dome of wind. There is less than 0.1% chance that Naruto would live through this, and he is the most powerful Jinchuriki. Jiraiya told them as the dome of wind started to rip through the building. Tell everyone not to be sad. A whisper was heard on the wind as Kurenai dropped to her knees and started to cry harder. Jiraiya was stone-faced as he watched the jutsu slowly start to recede. We will search whatever is left for Naruto. Jiraiya said as the dome condensed and exploded in a fierce wind that blew the younger shinobi over. They looked at the perfectly curved indent in the cliff as the wind died down. We should go now, Jiraiya said as they started to run across the water towards the wreckage. They made it to ground zero of the jutsu and were amazed at the nothingness of it. All that was left were a few particles of dust. It is obvious that Naruto isn't here, Jiraiya said as he looked down into the water to see the lower levels were destroyed too. He clutched the necklace and katana tighter to him. But what about his dreams? Kurenai asked. When we get back I will tell Tsunade what happened, Jiraiya ordered. She will want to hear it from a close friend, he added firmly. They were in shock that Naruto had died and could only nod. Shikamaru had tears in his eyes as he stared into the sky. Naruto, you troublesome man, the girls are going to kill me, he said sadly to himself. We should get going, there is no use searching now, Jiraiya told them sadly. Gaara, go get Matsuri and bring her, Jiraiya ordered. Kurenai, you have till Gaara gets back to see if Naruto has survived, Jiraiya told her as she nodded quickly and she went to search with Kakashi, Rin and Shikamaru. You aren't going to help? Onoki asked. No, I know this jutsu, Jiraiya told him. It is certain death if someone uses it, he added. I must be cursed myself. All my apprentices die before me, Jiraiya said with a dry chuckle as he looked down to see a headband floating on the surface. He reached down and picked it up and wiped the dust off the symbol and saw that it was Naruto's. Several days later the group entered through the front gate of Konoha with a sad aura around them. They quickly went to the Hokage Tower. Jiraiya knocked on Tsunade's door and waited for her affirmation for them to enter and they piled into the room. She smiled when she saw them but it almost instantly went away. Where is Naruto? She demanded. Jiraiya's cheeks twitched a little as he reached into his vest and pulled the necklace out. I am sorry Tsunade, Jiraiya said as he placed it in front of her. Naruto used a suicide jutsu to take out the Tsuchikage and the building they were on top of, Jiraiya told her as tears started to fall down her cheeks. Jiraiya placed a comforting hand on Tsunade's shoulder as she cried. Why does Kami have to take all the ones I love away from me? She asked Jiraiya. I don't know Tsunade, Jiraiya told her sadly. Naruto has a message for me to give to Hinata, Jiraiya told Tsunade as she nodded. Fill her in on what happened, Jiraiya ordered the rest of the group before he started to jump away towards the Hyuga compound. It didn't take him long to get to the compound since he wasn't being distracted by any kind of female anatomy. He knocked on the door and a Hyuga answered the door. Can I speak with Hiashi Hyuga and Hinata Hyuga? Jiraiya asked. One moment please, the Hyuga told Jiraiya before disappearing into the house. Jiraiya didn't have to wait long before the Hyuga came back and let him in. He quickly led Jiraiya into the house and towards what looked like an office to Jiraiya. He walked into the office to see Hiashi sitting in front of a desk with Hinata standing behind him and to the side a little. Hello Jiraiya-sama, Hiashi said before bowing his head. Hello Hiashi-sama, Hinata-sama, Jiraiya said seriously, instantly gaining Hiashi's attention. Last that I heard you were out of the village, Hiashi said as Jiraiya nodded. I was, but it was on a mission, Jiraiya told him. It consisted of myself, Naruto Uzumaki, Shikamaru Nara, Kurenai Yuhi, Gaara Shubaku, Kakashi Hatake and later Rin Norito. He told them. Naruto had a bad feeling about Iwa and we went to investigate it. We found a building that were creating Sharingan-equipped monsters, Jiraiya said as his cheeks started to twitch again while his eyes became blurry. We waited a while before we infiltrated the building and we ended up finding the Yondaime Tsuchikage, Jiraiya told them. Naruto stayed and fought him while he had Gaara and myself went on ahead. We met up with the other group and followed the path of destruction left from the two to the roof of the building. Jiraiya paused as he took a deep breath to calm himself. When we found him on the roof he was in a deadlock with the Tsuchikage. Naruto was able to push the Tsuchikage away and leapt back a little and pulled the Shodai's necklace off and tossed it to me and told me to tell Hinata that he will always love her. He then threw his katana towards us and it stuck into the ground. The two launched at each other and Naruto was stabbed through the chest, Jiraiya said as Hinata looked ready to cry. I would have helped him if he hadn't have used the true wind dragon jutsu, Jiraiya added as he reached into his vest again and pulled out the headband. I am sure Naruto would want you to have this, Hinata. Jiraiya said as he handed it out to her. I am sorry, Hinata. Jiraiya said as Hinata's arms went limp to her sides before her legs gave out and she fell to her knees and the tears started to pour down her cheeks. Jiraiya-sama, please stop. Hiashi said. That is all I had to say. Jiraiya told them as he bowed to Hiashi before leaving. He saw Hanabi walking down the hall. You are Hanabi Hyuga, right? He asked as she nodded. Your sister needs you right now. She just got some horrible news. He added. What is it? Hanabi asked. Ask your father or Hinata. Jiraiya said before he continued to leave. He heard Hanabi quickly go into the room. Jiraiya had tears in his eyes before he slammed his fist into the wall next to him, making it explode. He heard a scream and looked to see that he had punched the wall to the women's bath. I am sorry. Jiraiya said before continuing on his way. He stopped at the guard and gave him a sheet of paper with his bank account number. I kinda broke one of you walls. Take whatever the costs are out of that account. Jiraiya said as he walked out of the gate and into the street. Jiraiya looked up at the sky. Naruto, I hope you are happy with your mother. Jiraiya said sadly. What is that supposed to mean? A feminine voice demanded. Jiraiya turned to see a pink-haired girl. You were Naruto's teammate, right? Jiraiya asked as she nodded. You should know by the end of the day, if not by tomorrow. Jiraiya told her before he continued to walk. He could see Anbu running around and stopped to talk with people. So she is doing it now. Jiraiya thought as he saw the groups of people walking towards the Hokage Tower. An hour later at Hokage Tower, everyone was whispering to each other about what the meaning of this village-wide meeting was about. They were silenced when Tsunade walked out in her complete Hokage getup. Tsunade took a deep breath as she tried to compose herself. People of, she trailed off as she cleared her throat. People of Konoha, I have called you together for a sad reason. Tsunade yelled. One of our strongest shinobi was killed recently on a mission. He died in order to protect his teammates. Sakura's mind was abuzz. Wait a minute, Naruto went on a mission with Kurenai-sensei, Kakashi, Shika, and Gaara. They came back but he did, oh no please no. She thought. I am sad to tell you that Naruto Uzumaki Namikaze was killed on his latest mission to Iwa. Tsunade said softly but her voice carried through the crowd. That is a lie. Several people yelled. I wish it was. Tsunade told them. He used a ninjutsu called the True Wind Dragon Jutsu. It is the most powerful wind-natured jutsu in existence. But it comes at the price of almost certain death of the user. I was told this by Jiraiya of the Sannin. She added as she saw the sadness wash over most people. Her lips started to twitch from her restrained sobs. He used that jutsu on the Yondaime Tsuchikage who was supporting Orochimaru's experiments of monsters with Sharingan eyes. She said. It took out both of them along with the building they were on. She continued, nearly breaking down again. You may go on with your business again. She added before walking back into her office, leaving the stunned crowd. The instantly she was out of sight, her composure completely crumbled and she fell to her knees and broke down into sobs as she clutched the necklace to her chest. She felt two arms wrap around her and lift her up. Tsunade, you shouldn't be caught like that. She heard Jiraiya tell her before he set her in her chair. She clung to Jiraiya as she cried. Jiraiya attempted to soothe her as she cried. Why did he do that? She begged him. I have no idea. Jiraiya told her as he rubbed her back soothingly. Chapter 33. It has a month since everyone learned of Naruto's death and people were finally getting back to their normal life. There were a few exceptions though, mainly his close friends and loved ones. Hinata was the worst out of them all. She hadn't left her room much in the past month and didn't eat much. A close second was Tsunade, who had started to drink even more to drown her sadness away. Iruka had buried himself in his work to help him cope. Kakashi would stand in front of the memorial stone and stared at the names of his close friends and family, but his eyes would travel to a certain name on the stone. It became a tradition that every one of Naruto's friends and family, except for Hinata, would go to Ichiraku Ramen and eat there and talk about Naruto's past pranks and other things. It was a bright day when Hinata finally walked out of her room and saw the sun. Naruto-kun, why did you have to do that? She thought as she walked almost mindlessly through Konoha. Everywhere she went she could see a memory that she had with Naruto. She was confused when she saw the long line at Ichiraku Ramen stand. She looked in to see her friends talking about Naruto. She smiled sadly as she pushed into the stand. Hey guys. Hinata said quietly as they all turned to her and looked at her. Hinata, they exclaimed before they enveloped her in a hug. How are you doing? Sakura asked. Better. Hinata admitted before placing a hand on her stomach. I guess I will always have a remembrance of Naruto, actually we all will soon. She admitted with a sad smile as they looked confused. I would say about 6 months from now. She added as Sakura's eyes widened. You don't mean, Sakura trailed off as Hinata nodded. Huh, what are you talking about? Kiba asked confused, making Hinata sigh. You are an idiot, Kiba. Shikamaru said. When will you find out the sex? He asked, trying to give Kiba a hint. Find out what sex? Kiba asked, still confused, getting on everyone's nerve. She is pregnant, you idiot. Ino told him fiercely as realization dawned on him. You mean you and Naruto had? He trailed off as Hinata nodded. Can I touch your stomach? Sakura asked as Hinata nodded and she placed her hand on her small stomach. Sakura could feel the lump on her stomach. It must have been your bulky clothes that hid it. Sakura said with a smile. I am actually a little nervous. Hinata admitted. Why? Sakura, Ino and Tenten asked. Well, I haven't told Tsunade-sama and well you know. Hinata said as their eyes widened. Tell me what? A feminine voice said behind Hinata as she stiffened. It is good to finally see you are out again. The voice said again as Hinata slowly turned to see Tsunade. Hello T Tsunade-sama. Hinata stuttered, scared. So what is this that you haven't told me? Tsunade asked. I am. She trailed off before she ran outside and emptied her stomach into a trash can. She grimaced as she wiped her mouth and walked back into the stand. What is wrong? Tsunade asked, and before Hinata could protest, Tsunade was doing a diagnostic check on Hinata. Tsunade blinked a few times as she ran her hands over Hinata's stomach again. Hinata, are you? She trailed off as Hinata nodded nervously. And Naruto is the, once again Hinata nodded as Tsunade sighed. Well, I cannot say I am completely surprised. Tsunade said. So who else knows? She asked as Hinata pointed behind her and saw that all the guys were gone and only the girls were left. Those scared, Ino trailed off in grumbles. F father and H Hanabi-chan K no T to a long W with R Rin. Hinata stuttered nervously. You don't have to be worried. Tsunade said. I am not mad at you, maybe a bit disappointed for being so reckless, but I am happy. She told Hinata as tears started to come to Hinata's eyes before she hugged the older woman tightly. Tsunade rubbed her back and in the corner of her eye she saw the men looking in. Hinata. A feminine voice exclaimed as Hinata turned her head to see Kurenai and Asuma. What is wrong, dear? Kurenai asked as Hinata's throat clenched up, preventing her from talking. Do you want me to tell her? Tsunade asked as Hinata nodded. I believe there is a congratulations for Hinata. Tsunade said as Kurenai became confused. By law 44b she is prevented from going on missions. Tsunade said as Kurenai became confused and started to go through the laws in her head and her eyes widened. Hinata nodded. But how? When? Kurenai trailed off in amazement. I think you know how and I know when. Tsunade said as Kurenai looked up at the tall blonde. Remember that little lie Naruto told us about the Rasengan? She asked as Kurenai nodded and Hinata flushed brightly. Well, I would say either he wasn't telling a lie or it was shortly after we left. She added. Hinata. Kurenai trailed off as Hinata became nervous. Would you mind if they call me Kurenai-ba-chan? She finished as Hinata looked shell-shocked. I really want to be a part of your life more and this way I can be. She added a bit hopefully as more tears started to form in Hinata's eyes. Kurenai looked shocked. Don't worry, it is just the hormones. Tsunade said dismissively. Several months later Hinata was walking down the street. Her stomach was protruding out and it was obvious that she was pregnant. People were slightly shocked when they first saw her stomach, but they quickly got over their shock. Random people would stop her and ask when she was due and if they could touch her stomach and if she knew the sex yet. Hinata would always reply kindly with a smile that it was in 3 more months and that they could touch her stomach and that she didn't know the sex yet. She was actually currently going to the hospital for her checkup with Rin. She walked into the hospital and she was quickly sent to a room and waited patiently for Rin to show up. I will always have a part of Naruto with me. Hinata thought as she rubbed her stomach when she heard the door open and she saw Rin. Hello Hinata-chan. Rin said as she looked at Hinata. How is it going? You know about the same. Hinata said. Been craving ramen a lot. She added with a giggle. I am not surprised. Kushina-ne-chan was the same way when she was pregnant with Naruto, but she was already a ramen lover before that, so Rin trailed off as Hinata giggled some more. So we are going to find out the sex today, Rin said as she ran a glowing hand over Hinata's stomach and her eyebrows knitted together in confusion. Hinata, can you give me a minute? Rin asked as Hinata nervously nodded and Rin quickly left. What is wrong? Please don't have anything wrong with my baby, she thought as Rin came back dragging both Shizune and Tsunade. The two quickly made the hand signs and their hands started to glow green and they ran their hands over her stomach and Tsunade smirked. So Hinata, which do you want more, a boy or girl? Tsunade asked. I don't care as long as it is healthy, Hinata said. Oh, they are perfectly healthy, Tsunade said as Hinata sighed in relief before her eyes widened. They? Hinata asked stunned. Apparently you are having twins, Tsunade said. One of them was hiding during the checks, she added. And the sex in male and female, Tsunade said as Hinata's mouth almost fell to the ground in her shock. Twins, Hinata stuttered while she placed a hand on her stomach. Later that day Hinata walked to the ramen stand still in a daze and noticed the line, but she didn't have to wait and walked into the stand and saw the Ayame and Toiki making ramen. Hey guys, Hinata said as she sat at her reserved seat. Oh, Hinata-chan, Ayame said as she turned to the girl. So is she healthy? Ayame asked. You are determined it is a girl, Hinata said. Of course you can call it women's intuition, so am I right? She asked. Well, half right, Hinata said as it became silent in the stand and everyone turned to her. A girl and a boy, Hinata said as Ayame squealed rather loudly. Twins, Ayame exclaimed excitedly as Hinata nodded. Hinata was soon bombarded by congratulations from everyone. All the ramen for you is on the house, Toiki told her with a smile. So what do you want? Toiki asked and soon regretted it. Chocolate ramen noodles in beef broth with miso, Hinata said as everyone looked at her weirdly and Toiki shivered. It is like feeding Kushina again, he mumbled to himself. Several hours later Hinata walked into the Hyuga compound and went to Hiyoshi's office. He looked up at her. So is it healthy? Hiyoshi asked. Yes, they are perfectly healthy, Hinata said and waited patiently for the realization to dawn on him. Oh, that is good that they are, Hiyoshi trailed off as his eyes grew wide. They, he yelled as Hinata nodded. A boy and a girl, Hinata said with a smile as she watched her father faint for the first time. Why did father yell? Hanabi asked as she stuck her head into the room. Oh, I just told him I am having twins, Hinata said nonchalantly as Hanabi blinked a few times before her mouth fell open in shock as she passed out too. Hinata was smiling to herself as she attempted to stand. I needed to think that through better, Hinata thought with a grimace. Neji, she yelled and soon her cousin came running in. I can't get up, she admitted with a blush as Neji sighed and helped her up. You shouldn't do that to me, Neji said. I thought you were in serious trouble, why are they unconscious? Neji asked as he saw his uncle and younger cousin. Oh, I just told them that the babies were perfectly fine, Hinata said with a smile. Babies? Neji asked before he fell onto the floor unconscious and Hinata smiled to herself as she passed Neji's room and saw Tenten. You should go help Neji, he is unconscious in father's office, Hinata called into the room as Tenten pulled a classic Hinata by eeping and blushing bright red. What did you do? Tenten asked. I just told him I was having twins, Hinata said as Tenten squealed and completely forgot her embarrassment and Neji as she hugged her best friend. Hinata smiled as she hugged her friend back. That is amazing, wait till Sakura and Ino hear about this, Tenten said. They will freak, she continued as she dragged Hinata out of the house. Hinata was barely able to tell the guards to help her father, sister and cousin. They soon came to the flower shop and Hinata was panting. Ino, Tenten called as she walked in. What, Tenten, I am right here, Ino said a bit irritated. Guess what Hinata told me? Tenten said excitedly. That she is having twins, Ino asked as Tenten became shocked. Yeah, it is already around most of the village, everyone is talking about it, she added. Ino, Sakura yelled as she ran in past Hinata and Tenten. Did you hear that Hinata is having twins? Sakura asked while panting. Ino just pointed past Sakura towards Hinata and she waved to Sakura. 3 months later Hinata was slowly making her way around the village. Since she was over a week late for her labor, Tsunade had at least one Anbu or Junin watching over her at all times. As she was walking, Hinata felt a massive wave of pain hit her and she groaned in pain and nearly fell to her knees. She was lifted up, the Anbu escorting her. What is wrong, Hinata-sama? The Anbu asked worriedly. I think they are coming. Hinata said with another groan of pain. Help me get to the hospital, Tora. Hinata begged as her Anbu nodded and lifted Hinata up carefully and started to move towards hospital in a hurried speed. Several hours later, Hinata screamed as Tenten wiped the sweat from Hinata's brow. Neji was shivering in the corner from the scary sight. Neji, give me your damn hand. Hinata ordered angrily as Neji shivered even more as he cradled his broken hand from the last time he held her hand. Neji. Tenten exclaimed as Neji quickly stood and slowly gave Hinata his hand, but Hinata was quicker than he thought as she snatched his hand as another wave of pain went through her and she crushed Neji's hand with a loud crack. Ah, my hand. Neji yelled in pain. Ah, Naruto, if you were still alive I would kill you myself. Hinata screamed in pain. Hinata released Neji's hand and he instantly retreated to the waiting room while cradling his hands. His friends looked at the scared and shaking Neji with slight amusement and amazement. What happened, Neji? Choji asked. Hinata crushed my hands. Neji said as Tsunade walked towards them and saw Neji's black and blue hands. Tsunade sighed and quickly set Neji's bones and healed them. A scream of pain was heard and Neji dropped to the fetal position and started to shake. So which one of you is going in next? Tsunade asked as Shikamaru faked a cough. I think I am not feeling too well. Shika lied as Tamari smacked him upside his head. Shika-kun will go. Tamari volunteered Shikamaru as she pushed Shikamaru into the room. Soon a terrified and pained scream was heard. How strong is Hinata? Tamari asked. Let's just say she could probably pick up an Akamaiki before she became pregnant. Kiba told her. Hanane-chan told me that women normally get a bit stronger while giving birth or something like that. Kiba said as a shaking Shikamaru came out while muttering something about troublesome birthing. Shino, it is your turn. Kiba said. Sorry Kiba, but because of the tunnels burrowed throughout my body I cannot afford them to be collapsed. Shino said in a serious tone. Kiba began but saw that Choji was gone. Went to get food. Tamari told him. Lee. He looked around but didn't see him. Oh, so you think you won't cry out, Lee? They heard Hinata yelled, followed by a loud yelp, and Lee was thrown out of the room and slammed into the wall with a loud thud. I don't want to go in there. Kiba pleaded as Tamari sighed and stood and walked into the room. Kiba, get you ass in here this instant. Hinata yelled as he jumped and Tamari came out with a satisfied smile. He went to run out but Tamari grabbed him and pushed him backwards into the room. Give me your hand. No please, I need them for my jutsu, they heard Kiba pled. Then give me your foot. Hinata yelled as they heard a thud followed by a loud scream of pain from both Hinata and Kiba. Soon Kiba was wheeled out of the room and into an exam room next to Hinata's. Choji, your turn. Tamari said as Choji just shrugged and walked into the room and they heard a scream of pain from Hinata but nothing from Choji. The entire room went silent when they heard a small crying sound come from the room. Followed by another grunt of pain and another crying sound came. Soon Choji came back out while eating some chips and everyone stared at him in amazement. How did you not get hurt? Shikamaru asked. Oh, I used my expansion jutsu on my hand so she could hold onto my fingers instead. Choji said nonchalantly. Anyways, you can go see her. Choji said as he was pushed out of the way by Neji, Tamari, Ino and Sakura. They all piled into the room to see Hinata holding two bundles in her arms. Tenten smiled and pulled the blankets away from the babies' heads and showed that the boy had the same bright blue eyes and blonde hair as Naruto while the girl had bright red hair and violet eyes. They both had their father's whisker marks. They were cooing up at the new visitors. What are their names? Ino asked as she tickled the boy's chin. He is going to be Minato Hyuga Namikaze and she is going to be Kushina Hyuga Namikaze. Hinata said. After Naruto-kun's parents. Hinata added before she yawned. Her eyes slowly drifted shut as she succumbed to her tiredness. Shikamaru took a camera out and took a picture of Hinata as the babies looked at it in amazement while Hinata slept. You are going to be a hellion just like you father, aren't you? Haruka asked as the two babies smiled up at him like a fox as he shivered. I think they will be worse. He mumbled as the others chuckled. Several days later Hinata was being released from the hospital and almost all of her friends and family were there to help her. It didn't help that basically every villager was waiting outside the hospital waiting to see the two new babies. Haruka had Minato in his arms while Hinata held Kushina. They walked out and the girls instantly cooed at the sight of the babies. Ayame was the first one to see the newborns out of all the villagers. Oh, he looks just like his father. Ayame cooed as she tickled his chin, making his face crinkle up before he grabbed her finger. Haruka-sensei thinks they will be a hellion just like Naruto-kun was. Hinata said a bit tiredly. I have no doubt in that. Ayame said as she saw the fox-like grins the two babies sported. Hinata spent the next few hours making it through the crowd and was finally on her way to the Hyuga clan. A few passing shinobi would jump down and either congratulate her or coo at the cuteness of the babies. At least they will have a family. Hinata thought sadly as she hugged Kushina tighter to her chest and Kushina looked up at her curiously before she reached her hand up and touched her cheek. Hinata looked down and smiled at the baby. You are such a good girl. Hinata cooed, making Kushina smile toothlessly up at her. You are a natural mother. Haruka commented. Not really. Hinata told him. I took care of Hanabi-chan since she was born. I guess you could say I have been acting like a mother since I was 5. Hinata added sadly. Even if your mother survived you would have been just as motherly. Haruka told her with a warm smile which made Hinata smile. Thanks for your abundance of confidence in me. Hinata told him as they came to the big steel gate of the Hyuga compound. Do you want me to escort you in? Haruka asked as Hinata shook her head. No, I can take it from here. Hinata said as Haruka handed Minato over to Hinata. She moved naturally so she was holding the two babies easily. Thank you for the help, Haruka-sensei. Hinata told him with a smile as Haruka opened the gate for her. It was my pleasure, Hinata-sama. Haruka said with a smile. Hinata-sama, you are finally out, a branch member asked. Yes, I am, Moi-chan. Hinata said with a smile. I would have been back sooner but apparently these two are celebrities. Hinata added before she left the woman. As she was walking past her father's study. We have to seal the younger twin. Hinata heard one of the elders say as Hinata scowled darkly. I will not allow the seal to be placed on my grandchildren. Hiyashi said darkly as Hinata glared at the wall before she walked towards Neji's room. She kicked the door and heard an eep and a lot of scrambling before the door opened and a partially naked Neji stood in front of her. He cleared his throat. Hinata-sama, what can I do for you? Neji asked. Can you and Tenten-chan take these two for a few minutes? Hinata asked with a smile. I have something to take care of. She added, but Neji heard the edge on her voice and pitied the people who pissed Hinata off. Of course. Neji said as he took Kushina into his arms and let out a whimper when she grabbed his long hair and gave a mighty tug. Tenten came to the door with more clothes but Hinata couldn't help but chuckle when she saw one of her buns was loose and hung down her back. Tenten immediately took Minato into her arms and started to coo. Hinata bowed to her cousin before walking away. Those elders are going to be hurting. Tenten said as she tickled Minato. What do you mean? Neji asked confused. What happens when twins are born in this clan? She asked him as his eyes widened. Knowing Hinata, she will not allow that to happen, even if that means excommunicating herself from this clan. She added. With Hinata, Hinata was standing in front of her father's study. You cannot defy the entire Hyuga clan council, Hiyashi-sama. She heard an elder say before her temper boiled over and she kicked the door as hard as she could, making it fly backwards. She strode into the study. What are you doing here? A male elder demanded. Shut up. Hinata ground out. Why you awe? He screamed as Hinata's wings pierced each of his shoulders and pinned him to the wall. If you even think of sealing my children and I will kill you without a second thought. Hinata threatened darkly, making a few of them shiver. And if you try it, not only will I leave this clan, I will make it my life's work to make sure that everyone knows of the evils that you have done. She threatened again as their eyes widened considerable. She retracted her wings from the elder, allowing him to fall to the ground. Plus, I doubt the villagers would like it if I said you want to harm them. She added before turning on her heels. Well, you heard my daughter. Hiyashi said as he leaned forward and propped his head up with his arms. Are you willing to have possibly the most powerful Hyuga ever for something so simple? Hiyashi asked as they grumbled. Hiyashi smiled inside as he saw them drag the wounded elder away. You are just as fierce and scary as your mother. Hiyashi thought. Thanks for listening. I hope you guys liked it. Don't forget to subscribe and leave a like for more what ifs and support the author. See you guys in the next video.